Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right, I have a short talk about the blue zones. Blue zones are a good place to visit if you ever can. The way blue zones got started is National Geographic did a documentary about 5 places in the world where people live healthy and they're over 100 years old. So, your handout has this, so you can see a nice map of it all. You notice they're scattered throughout the world quite well. I'll talk about a few of them that I know about, but you get the whole thing in here that will, if you want to know more detail of what National Geographic found, this is the official study guide. You can watch the video usually on YouTube or online for free if you wanted to see the long version of it all. So when National Geographic did their documentary, they found that 80% is to do with lifestyle and only 20% genetics. And that was an official scientific researcher that found that out. I'll talk about the one place in our country, since that's the easiest probably to visit, is Loma Linda. And this is a person named Ellsworth Wareham. And looking at it, he lived to 104 years old. And I just put him in Wikipedia to get the most current knowledge of him. And this is what National Geographic said. When they visited him before he died, they found that his contractor wanted $6,000 to build a fence around his house. So when that happened, he decided he would build the fence himself. So he did, and then a few days later, he ended up in the hospital. And it wasn't because he was sick. He was a heart surgeon, and he performed an open heart surgery on somebody at age 104. So right before he died, he was still practicing medicine. And he wasn't officially still working, but he was, because that's a teaching school, he went there to perform the surgery and teach others. And that's what he did for the last 30 years. So he probably retired, but then he kept going back to do surgeries. So that was fun. This person in the same area celebrated her 106th birthday. And she was also featured in National Geographic. And she lives in Loma Linda. This is a picture of her at age 104, and she's teaching an exercise class. So she lived to 106. So I just found that on the internet. That was her class, and looks like she said the reason everybody wants to know, like, what's the secret to your long life? And National Geographic said it's always similar. They followed just a natural lifestyle. They had purpose. They all took a day of rest, whatever their religion is, whether it's Hindu or Seventh-day Adventist. They had a full day of rest. They followed the 80% rule, means when their stomach's 80% full, they knew it's time to stop eating. So to avoid overeating. Mostly plant-based diet, but some meats were okay when in moderation. And most of them avoided all alcohol, but some had a very minor amount of wine. So that's what they found about Loma Linda area. And there's one more person I'll show you. Esther, is it Fry? She's still alive, and She's 102, I believe, from her birthday picture. So she's also following a similar lifestyle. And if you want to know more about her, her daughter's sitting over here. Marge. So that's just a few examples of people in the United States that are aiming to be blue zone contenders. Now, just because you don't live in Loma Linda, you can still be part of this by following the same type of things they do. And you can read more about it in here. And you're learning about it in this seminar for 5 days. So all this goes together, and you too can also join me to live over 100. So hope you all will follow. And it's not just to live older, it's to be healthier and to do more good on the planet. So having that purpose, according to all of them, made a big difference. Okay, and then just going back to the first map, I had a few notes about some of them. One is Sardinia. That's some islands on the coast of Italy. This is the home of the longest living men. They have communities, so it's not one or two people. It's a whole community of people over 100. And they have one community, they're shepherds, and they walk 5 mountain miles a day as a group, the over 100 men. So they do that, and if one of them is not there at the time, they all go look for that person. So very high sense of community there. The Sardinian diet is mostly plant-based, consisting of whole grains, beans, garden, vegetables, and fruits. They all help each other, and it's a close-knit community. In Okinawa, how do you say this? Okinawa. I would not be good in Japan. I know somebody in here is going to go to Japan soon. The Chinese and Japanese diet traditionally has been known as a very healthy diet until I found out McDonald's moved in some of those communities, and it greatly went down. There is a book that you can buy, or might be at the library, the China Study, and it was all about the long life and healthy diet of the Chinese until the 80s. So it worked until they stopped. So over here in Japan, they have a saying there called the Hara Hulu Bu, which is a Confucian saying that says, stop eating when you're 80% full. So same idea. And they also had a strong sense of purpose. This is all in the South Pacific. So anyways, that was just a little preview of what your handout says. I think it's good to aim for this because you're healthy and you're living longer. It's not worth living a long time if you're in a hospital or on a ventilator or can't walk, can't move. There's no point to that kind of long life, according to all these Blue Zone studies. But it is worth it when you're healthy and you have that sense of purpose and can do more for the community and for yourself. Okay, so that's it on that. The last thing is, I'll just throw some of these papers back there. If you wanted a quick reference of how many lentils, radishes, alfalfa, broccoli, or wheat berry seeds you put to the quart jar, I put down the amounts on here and how long to soak. So that's just my personal quick reference. Those are the most common that I've done, and they're the tastiest and easiest to do. Lentils, radish, alfalfa, broccoli, and wheat berries. My other favorite is sunflower seeds, which is great, but it is tricky to do because the holes have to come off. You generally eat just the inside. So it's a little more tricky if you want to do those. Okay, so I'm going to switch the mic over for Lim.
I just
Yeah.
have a quick question.
Oh.
Can you talk a little bit about the water in Loma Linda?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been over there, and there are few places in the world are high in silica content. Silica is naturally occurring in the earth, and it makes the water smooth. And there's a researcher named Dr. Krauss, who's not a medical doctor, but he's a doctor of chemistry. He found that silica binds to heavy metals in your body, especially aluminum, which is highly known for neurological diseases and all those bad diseases you get from having too much heavy metals. And the theory is most people probably do have heavy metals and you don't realize it unless you start getting these chronic diseases. And then if you get your hair, blood, or urine tested, you might find out you're very high in heavy metals and you need to do a detox. But Loma Linda, their city water is not fluoridated, full of fluoride and chlorine like most American cities. Those are bad for people. They might clean the water up, but then it leads to all kinds of health problems. So Loma Linda water happens to be straight out of the ground, full of silica, which is great. So there's another theory in Dr. Krauss' book that makes Loma Linda an ideal place if you want to live long term. And Dr. Krauss is not a religious person in any way. He just noticed the correlation between Loma Linda, which happens to be a Seventh-day Adventist lifestyle place, and there's silica in their water. The other place you can find a lot of silica is Fuji, and that's why they sell that Fuji water, supposedly straight from there, but they will charge you quite a bit for it when you can get it free in Loma Linda, just on the tap. I know a few people here know about silica water and already are drinking it because there's a way of making it yourself. Oh, you're one of them. He knows about them. So, and I do too. It's very easy. You can make a gallon of it for a couple cents. So I can tell anybody about that later if you wish to know about that. Okay. Well, thank you. Let me switch this off because we're sharing a mic.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you very much, Paul, for that presentation. We continue here our study. Now, let's face it, folks. We don't want the idea of dying early, right? We want as much as possible to live long lives. And, even most kids, they can't even, most kids, they don't want to wait. No, I mean, they could hardly wait, until they get older. But there comes a time in our life when we would want to stop getting old, right? And we know that all through the centuries, humanity has always looked for some kind of special medication to halt the effects of aging. You have heard about the mythical fountain of youth, right? Of which, this has led explorers all over the world looking for this elusive spring, they said, that promises to restore youthful vigor to anyone who bathes in it, in that water, or even drinks that water. And we know from history that Juan Ponce de Leon, he was a Spanish conquistador and explorer who is credited to have discovered Florida and the Gulf Stream, and also he became the first governor of Puerto Rico. He claimed to have found the Fountain of Youth. And here's the picture of the place. It's now it's found in St. Augustine, Florida. Okay? So This place, by the way, has been frequented by tourists. A lot of tourists go here year after year. And there is also an archaeological site that people come over to visit. But the sad reality, my dear friends, is that there is really no such thing as a fountain of youth. Much to our desire that there would be, but there's none. Nor is there even a potion or even a pill that can keep us forever young. Would it not be nice if someday scientists will be able to discover a pill that will make us live long lives, experience longevity? But the point is this, my friends, don't despair. Don't be disappointed. Don't be discouraged. I know there are a lot of people, friends of mine, who want to live, they want to live ever young. And so sometimes they cross over to Mexico to have facelift, and all those things, just to make themselves look younger. And sometimes, tragically, they die as a result because of that. I know of one case. So the point is that there is a simple formula for which we can lengthen our lives. We may not be able to live long, to like 100 years, like these people who live in the blue zone, okay? But the point is that there are 8 simple laws of health that are guaranteed to give us, gives us abundant life. And these principles have been used, by the way, around the world in many physician-monitored, scientifically researched lifestyle change programs, and also have helped hundreds and thousands of people, to begin, or rather to regain their health and stay strong. Now, before going any further, I know Paul touched on the 8, in these blue zones. I would like to go back there. It was way back in the year 2008, okay, that this guy, Dan Buettner, wrote this book, okay? He is a National Geographic author, and he did some deep research, and he published his now famous book, The Blue Zone, Lessons for Living Longer from the People Who Have Lived the Longest. Blue zones, why is this called blue zones? Blue zones actually refers to those geographical areas in which people have very low rates of chronic disease. And they live longer than the average persons. And so they are called blue zones because, Buettner and his colleagues, while they were doing the research in these areas, they drew blue lines on the map on these places, where they find people who live longer than the average. That's why he titled this book Blue Zones. And this, as we already, has already been shown, I'm sure here. What did I say here? Okay, so has already been shown by Paul. I'm just highlighting it here. These are the 5 places, by the way, where it has been marked to be the blue zones. Oh, by the way, in 2013, they are adding another blue zone. And it is located somewhere here. This is the Philippines, okay? This is Taiwan here, this is China here. This is the Philippines, this is Borneo. Just a little over here, I think, is Singapore. The city-state of Singapore is now considered one also of the blue states. And a blue state because of government-implemented rules. For example, Singapore has the highest tax for cigarettes as well as for alcohol. So as a result of the high tax on alcohol and cigarette smoking, so people basically would stop smoking. So they are saying that Singapore could be included here. But as have been mentioned already by Paul, we look at Loma Linda in our own country here in the U.S., okay? Loma Linda in California, okay? And the amazing thing, of course, as has already been shown, Loma Linda has these, here are some faces of these centenarians who live in Loma Linda. They live 100, 104, 106 years old, although many of them now are already dead, unfortunately. They still died, but the point is that they were able to live that long. And people have been wondering, how come these people have such long lives? You can see how a 100-year-old lady still holding on those, doing that kind of exercise. They would play pickleball, okay? A 104-year-old would still drive down the highway. It's amazing, right? And no wonder Loma Linda caught the attention. The point is that, why Loma Linda? What's so special about Loma Linda? Okay, I'll show you a picture of Loma Linda. This is now basically the little city of Loma Linda. And at the center of the city of Loma Linda is this medical institution. It's called the Loma Linda Medical Center. This is managed, of course, by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's one of hundreds of medical institutions, by the way, all across the world, okay? And just behind that is the new children's hospital. Actually, it's this is newly built. I remember we would even go hiking up on these low hills over here, you know, we would go exercising over there. But anyway, Loma Linda, when you look at Loma Linda, what's really significant about this place? It's highly urbanized, you know. It's a urbanized place, you know. Well, when you mention Loma Linda, remember Baby Faye in 1908? I mean something? 1904, I think. No, I'm sorry. I'm looking. Let me look at my notes again. Baby Faye had some heart problem, remember? And she had a heart transplant. She was able, that was in 1984. She lived for a couple of weeks, okay, on a baboon's heart. The one who performed this was the famous heart surgeon, Dr. Bailey. He put the baboon's heart on the child. And I remember in those days there were hundreds of people that came over to Loma Linda bringing placards. And they were demonstrating. These were animal rights individuals, you know, protesting about what is this Adventist institution doing, you know, using a baboon, you know, and all that. Anyway, that's what Loma Linda is famous for. Another one is Loma Linda, of course, is famous because of its what? The proton beam cancer treatment. It's one of the unique ways of fighting against cancer. They use the proton beam, okay? So, but then what's so significant about Loma Linda? Why was it part of the blue zone? I remember years ago, we would live in Glendale, and there was this very, very sick, I would say, a really sick joke back there, you know, in California. They said that, you know, the smog coming from Los Angeles, basically, usually it's blown towards the south, and so it's blown towards Loma Linda. And they called Loma Linda the armpit of Southern California. That was the sixth. I mean, that's the joke back there. It's the armpit of Southern California. And yet, what makes this place remarkable? Let me tell you, it's not remarkable because of the environment of the place. In fact, it's really polluted sometimes. You know, there are times of the year when pollution is very strong. And the reason why Loma Linda has been part of the blue zone is because the people who are living there, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I would like to say that actually Loma Linda is one place where you see a large concentration of Seventh-day Adventists. Now, maybe you have heard of Seventh-day Adventists. Sometimes they confuse us with Mormons or maybe Jehovah's Witnesses. For one thing, we are not Mormons, okay? Although we have close affinity with them. We emphasize the importance of health, the importance of family. But certainly we're not Mormons. We are not also Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, because we as Adventists, we allow blood transfusion. Jehovah's Witnesses, as you know, they say, no, there's no such thing as blood transfusion. But anyway, the point is that the only reason why Loma Linda has made its mark as being part of the blue zone is because these people who are living there to be 100 years old have been practicing the 8 principles of health that we have discussed. You remember 2 nights ago, Steve emphasized about these 8 principles of health, and it comes in that acronym, right? What's the acronym again, if you remember? New Start, okay? It's all because of that, my friends. There is really nothing. When you look at the environment of Loma Linda, I would say, I was even telling Mike earlier, when you compare Loma Linda to Garden Valley, oh my, this is a much better place in terms of environment. No pollution. The water here is just clear and clean, Perfect place, And I would say that if you just follow the principles of health, these 8 principles of health, we can make Garden Valley a blue zone. Really. I can honestly say that. We can make this a blue zone. You see, these 8 principles of health, sometimes I know earlier in college when I was studying, we would study these 8 principles of health. We call this the 8 natural doctors. And basically, it's really natural doctors. You see, what's so amazing about this God that we serve is that He has placed in nature, those elements that will be not only for the preservation and protection of our lives, but even to provide elements for our own longevity. It's all in the elements, the sunlight, nutrition, these things. If we follow these principles, we will be able to reach, the same kind of lifestyle that these people in Loma Linda had experienced. So those centenarians, as I have said, they follow the 8 simple laws of health, which is guaranteed to give us abundant life. And as you can see, it is easy for us to remember them. New Start, right? It stands for what? All these, I would say, 8 natural doctors. These are 8 natural doctors. You see, my friends, good health, you do not need to go and spend money, really. So much money for that. I know people, they have to go to hospitals. Why? Because they have to find medications, right? But if we practice these 8 principles of preventive ways of having good health, we will save a lot really of money, as a result. Just follow these 8 principles. So let's look back again. Let's look again at this. Let's review this, in a way. Let's review again this, the first one. And of course, as you know, it stands for nutrition. And we would like to suggest that you eat a rainbow of colored fruits and vegetables daily, okay? Look at this beautiful rainbow of vegetables and fruits, Eat a rainbow of colored fruits and vegetables every day. And then, as much as possible, eat whole grains. Don't go for refined, okay? I remember my father years ago when he was still alive, he was sometimes called Pastor Brown Rice. You know why? Because from the pulpit, he always preaches about telling the members, don't eat white rice. Eat brown rice. Okay? Because the nutrients of white rice, instead, what? They go to the chickens and to the hogs. There is nothing there in the white rice. Basically, it's only starch that you get. So eat brown rice. So my dad was always called Pastor Brown Rice, as a result of that. But yes, eat whole grains, enjoy nuts. Do you enjoy nuts? Every morning, of course, my wife always prepares, we have either oatmeal, or sometimes we have millet or barley, and then we always have a regular banana and nuts. Get those things. Those are really good. Eat more fiber because it has a lot of fiber. Eat more of these nuts and seeds. Eat more fiber and less refined foods, okay? And by the way, another thing about this nutrition is that be sure to make breakfast your heaviest. As the saying goes, eat like a king in the morning, like a queen at noon, and like a pauper in the evening, okay? So we go to the next one here. Is exercise, okay? And here are some benefits, as you know, of exercise. It lowers the blood pressure. What else? It improves blood sugar control. It burns excess calories. It improves also on your immune system, and it reduces stress, okay? When we exercise our bodies every day, you release. Actually, when you exercise, you release what you call, what medical science calls, endorphins. Endorphins are what you call happy hormones. Okay, we call these happy hormones because it gives you that nice feeling. Have you noticed that? When you go out for a walk, you go out for a stretch, you have that happy feeling, that joyful feeling. That's because what's this now? These endorphins are already being injected into your bloodstream. Okay. Now here are some tips, to reap from the benefits of this powerful remedy of exercise. Always choose a variety of exercise. Now let me ask you, what do you think is the best exercise? What was that? Don't you know that gardening is a good exercise? In fact, that is the most beneficial form of exercise because you gain something from what you are doing. But we are told that walking is still the best exercise. And people jog and things like that, but still walking is still considered to be the best exercise. Besides that, you do not put so much stress, on your bones or in your muscles as a result. Okay? So exercise, and then exercise, by the way, outdoors, if that's really possible, in the fresh air, at least 30 to 60 minutes. We are advised, for a whole week. So like, for example, after you eat, go out for a 15-minute walk. Okay? That would be very good for us. All right, the next one here. The next one that we find here is water, okay? What are the benefits of water? Water is really amazing because you see, this liquid is so vital for the existence of every living thing. And remember that 70% of your body weight is because of water. Water is really, if you really think about it, water is the best blood thinner. If you judiciously and very faithfully, drink your, how much glasses of water are we recommended to drink every day? 6 to 8 glasses of water. So maybe a good way of helping you is that when you wake up in the morning, first thing you do, you drink 2 glasses of water. But you say, I cannot drink, I cannot drink 2 glasses of water. My stomach cannot right away. Especially if it's tap water. Well, then you just warm the water. Now, my wife does that for me every day, put it on warm water. So 2 glasses of water before breakfast, and then maybe another 2 glasses after 30 minutes of eating, after 30 minutes from eating, okay, breakfast. Don't eat and drink at the same time, okay? We are advised.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not, Lynn?
Why not? Good question. Why not? Because the problem is that when you eat the food, and it mixes with some liquid, it disrupts, the digestion of your food. Yeah. So we are advised that we should at least eat, or rather drink, 30 minutes after we have eaten, either breakfast or lunch or whatever it is. Okay. Another thing is that we know that water is used in hundreds, by the way, of complex processes in our body that we don't even think about. Like, for example, rolling one's eyes when someone makes a point that you don't want to agree. How are you able to roll your eyes? It's because of the liquid, because of the water, right? Okay? So remember, water reduces heart disease risk. It reduces fatigue. It removes impurities. And it improves also alertness. Maybe you think, I really hate drinking water. It tastes terrible. Well, pure, clean water tastes good, I tell you. And one of the best places to drink nice water is here in Garden Valley, I tell you. Yeah, Garden Valley is one of good source of water.
And if you don't like just pure water, you could always add some vegetable
Okay.
lemon,
Yes, that's good.
type of herbs,
That-
peppermint, or something else.
Yeah, just put something if you really cannot tolerate it, okay? But the point is that, and as much as possible, my friends, avoid soft drinks, okay? Alcohol, coffee, caffeinated beverages, all of these have, negative effects on our body. Now, the next one is that don't spend so much time, indoors, because we are missing one of nature's natural doctors. What is that natural doctor again? Sunlight. Sunlight is a natural doctor that God has made available for us. So expose yourself out in the sun, Here, the UVB, that's the ultraviolet B rays in sunlight, help our bodies produce vitamin D, which is essential to a strong immune system. By the way, we have to remember that sunlight is a very, very powerful germ killer in our bodies, even in our clothes, okay? It helps normalize, for example, blood pressure. It helps lift us from depression. Sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy. That's what John Denver's music comes to my mind, when I think about this, that, it really helps lift us from depression. Now, here are some quick tips, okay, to get us the most benefit from spending 15 minutes at least out in sunlight. And by the way, some people are concerned, I might develop skin cancer and all that, Well, the best time actually to get sunlight, what do you think, Sandy, would be the best time? What time? I'm talking about a specific time.
I just say in the morning.
Okay. Actually, the safest sunlight would be between 9 in the morning to around 10. Okay, that time, or maybe 11. That would be. Yes.
Actually, right as the sun is rising, because it doesn't have the rays that affect you. And it helps boost your cortisol and gives you that awakening, lifting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes.
First 15 minutes.
And then in the afternoon, at least around from 3 o'clock, all the way. So don't be exposed too much, at noonday. Noontime heat would be very detrimental. Okay? So those are some ways that we can make use of this. And it's free. Dr. Sunlight is out there and it's free. It's waiting for you to come out of hiding. Okay? So exercise outdoors, and you can avoid, of course, sunburn by covering up, maybe putting on a hat or sunglasses, maybe having long clothes, or maybe put on some sunscreen, okay? Now, what is the next principle? It's the letter T, and that is what? It's temperance, right? Temperance. Some people are confused, about thinking of temperance because it means, to some people, they think that temperance means using everything if it doesn't hurt you. Now, that's not what temperance is all about. True temperance, my friends, means using good things in proper amounts and discarding things that are harmful. Okay, let me repeat that. What true temperance is all about? Using good things in proper amounts and discarding things that are harmful. And there are, by the way, 3 harmful substances that we should, as much as possible, try to avoid. These are tobacco, alcohol, and caffeine, okay? Tobacco harms nearly every organ, by the way, of the body. And you know already very well, most highway accidents and even deaths involve the use of alcohol. I think we have to remember the very first organ that is affected by alcohol. Do you know what? Once you imbibe, once you drink alcohol, which organ of the body is immediately affected? That's right, it's the brain. That's why people lose their control. That's why we are always advised, don't take alcohol when you go down to the road or go down the road, okay? Now, many drinks, by the way, also contain caffeine, and that's where you have to be very careful. It's a drug that really hurts the body. It's a stimulant. It stimulates you, it keeps you awake, but then there is also a drawback of which we have to avoid. So let's ask God to help us be temperate in every part of our body, of our living, in our eating, in our drinking, in our dressing, in work, in recreation, and all and so forth. All right, the next natural law that God has made available for us for free is what? Fresh air. What are the benefits of fresh air? It vitalizes the blood. It relaxes your mind. It kills germs. And it also helps clean the lungs. That's why it's so important early in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, do deep breathing. At least 3 times. And when you do deep breathing, say, "Thank you, God, for life. Thank you for keeping me alive today." Okay? And just before you retire for the night, before you go to bed, do that deep breathing again, 3 times. And by the way, when you breathe through where? Breathe through your nose, okay? Not your mouth, through your nose. That's the purpose why God gave us our noses, Not only to smell good food, but okay? So important here, practical tips, to get fresh air. Always, as much as possible, keep our windows, the blinds open, at night maybe, just apart, Avoid, by the way, smoking, especially secondhand smoke. It's more dangerous, actually, secondhand smoke. Exercise in the fresh air. Keep your bedroom windows open, unless, of course, you live in extremely polluted places, and I think there's no polluted place around here in this vicinity of Garden Valley. So, many of us, are missing out on some great benefits because of our busy lifestyle. And this next principle is so important. And what principle is that? Rest. It's the principle of rest. Okay? Principle of rest. Rest is really what we need. Now, there are 3 types of rest that are essential for us to maintain abundant life. They are daily rest, weekly rest. There is such thing as a weekly rest. I'll emphasize this more. And there is the regular recreation activities. Okay? I have here a book which I just purchased, and I'm reading this, starting to read it, and you can see how I underlined this book. This is authored by a guy named A.J. Swoboda. He is the pastor of the Theophilos Church down in Portland, Oregon. This is a very superb book to me. It's talking about the Sabbath. You know something about the Sabbath, right? It's the 7th day that God has given to man. We find that in Genesis and all that. Anyway, this is a superb book. This is written, by the way, this is not an Adventist book, okay? Let me just tell you that to be sure. But this book has really benefited me so much in understanding the importance of the Sabbath. He says, for example, that, we were made by God to rest. We were made by God to rest. Let me ask you, when God created Adam and Eve, remember I said Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, okay? It's Adam and Eve. Steve only came later. Larry came later. But it's Adam and Eve. When God created Adam and Eve, on the 6th day, as we know, what was their first full day? It was the 7th day. And it was the 7th day that God rested, we are told. He blessed, He sanctified, and made it holy on the 7th day. And this author is telling us, God really designed us for rest. And he even made this very, very subversive suggestion that if we only follow this principle of God on resting, on having that weekly rest on the 7th day, we do not even need to have vacations. Whoa! What? We don't even need to have vacations. If on the seventh day, he said, it's the whole 24-hour rest, okay? It's not just part of it, okay? But the whole 24 hours, you just spend up in resting and basking, in knowing that you have a God who loves and cares for you and all that. Well, I can say a lot about that, about here, but it's very, very important to understand that. You see, when God created this world, it was already a perfect world, right? When Adam and Eve woke up and saw the world around them, it was all perfect. The crops and the trees, they were adult. I mean, they were already grown up. And the trees were hanging with heavy fruit, okay? It was not, when Adam and Eve came out saw the world, it was not, it was not sprouts and seedlings and saplings that they saw. It was a full-grown crop, a full-grown tree. And the fruits, were ready, to just pick and eat, pluck and feast. That's the kind of God that we serve. He has made everything ready, prepared for us. All we need to do is enjoy these fruits, this produce, enjoy it in His presence. So this is what this guy is really talking about. And I tell you, this is one beneficial book. You can get it on Amazon. It will really be a blessing to you. But that's what it says, the importance really of rest, my friends. Okay? So we come to the last principle, which is very important. I put this as last because I see this as very, very important. And what is that? It's trust in God. Trust in God. Why is it important to trust in God? Well, it's to recognize, that you are not the king or the queen of the world. That there is someone higher and above us. And this person who is above us is someone who loves us. This is someone who really cares for us. And that's why He has built into nature all these natural things, these natural remedies made available for us for free. It's free. God has made it available for us. And if we just follow this, and trust in Him, we can really be assured, of and what are the benefits of trusting in God, by the way? Right? It leads to inner peace and stability. It gives us also the power to forgive. There is a very important medicine in being forgiving. Don't you know that the spirit of forgiveness is medicinal? It's curative. I know of people who hold a grudge for years and years and years, and their lives have really been miserable because they have not really come to recognize that they should forgive, just as our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ forgave. So there is power in forgiveness, and all that is built on trust. Bring love into your home. Help to also other people, for example, because helping other. And by the way, these people in the blue zones, one of the reasons why they have long and enjoyable lives is because they are involved in community. Be involved in your community, and I'm sure many of us here are involved in our community, many activities going on here in Garden Valley. Be involved. Don't seclude yourself. Don't isolate yourself up there on the mountain, okay, in your own home. Come and commune with people, no? So that's the blessing. Here are some other practical tips, by the way, to learn how we can trust in God, okay? Growing in trust, read your Bible every day. Now, whatever be your religious persuasion, it's okay. As long as you're a Christian, okay. We are always emphasized, our pastors always tell us, read your Bible every day, right? So spend time reading your Bible every day, because there you can gain so much encouragement, so much hope, that will revitalize your life, that will strengthen your confidence in God. Even though you are faced with challenges day by day, difficulties, we can always meditate on God's promises, pray often, and as I have said also, help others. In conclusion, remember what Jesus said in the text I shared you the other night? In John chapter 10, verse 10, it says, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy." Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly." Jesus wants you to enjoy real, healthy lives. It is God's desire, it's heaven's desire for each and every one of us. So my friends, I hope that this presentation here will really sink down in our minds. Remember, New Start, what does New Start stand for? N stands for nutrition. E, exercise. W is what? Water, drink water. S, sunlight. T, temperance. A is air. R, rest, okay? As much as possible, rest. The best time to go to bed at night is 10 o'clock in the evening, okay? Don't go beyond that. Yeah? Or you sleep at 9 o'clock. Okay, that's even better yet, okay? Yeah. But as much as possible, 10 o'clock, be already in bed, okay? And then what's the last letter? T? Trust in God. Let's trust in God. The Lord bless each of you. God bless you. And see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, our topic, the last topic I'll be presenting here is how to turn back the clock. In other words, how to add 10.5 more years to your life. Do you want to know what's the secret of that? Okay, so come tonight. That will be our final night tomorrow. Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
I want to add something. Can I add something, guys? Because I've been watching, I watched different podcasts and stuff like that, and across the board, every specialist that delves in nutrition or exercise or anything that is pertaining to health, across the board right now, they're saying that right now that rest is actually something even of nutrition. Even nutrition will show up. Nutrition. And lately, the last few months, everything that I watch, everybody's rest is actually the most important. You see in China, people learn so much that they're literally walking and popping out because they're so exhausted. And I just wanted to encourage a little bit more of that also for when I share the New Start. One of the things I share on too is how to actually get a good night's rest. And part of it is going to bed at an early time and trying to stay on that same schedule. Make sure that your area is dark. One of the biggest triggers to make it that you don't sleep well is actually temperature. So have a lower temperature, and that actually helps your brain calm down and everything. Have no lights. Set your phone far away. So that's a huge thing right now. And then also a lot of people, they have notifications on or whatnot, and they end up grabbing their phone.
Yep, good.
Hearing their phone, or first thing when they wake up, they grab their phone. So having that phone put away. And then also trying to get at least 8 hours of sleep. So your bed, your pillow is super important. If you're not sleeping on a relatively hard or comfortable bed, that can give you issues. And one other really, really awesome thing that I learned about sleep, this is phenomenal to me. So you guys ever heard of your lymphatic system? Lymphatics, right? So I learned this not too long ago. So we have our lymphatics. So when you're asleep, how your cycles go, there's actually a certain time of sleep at night. And they say it's preferable that you go on your left side, just because of your digestions and stuff like that. But your brain literally has this little openings in it, and they open up and they let these lymphatic juices out, and they go and they collect all the free radicals and all the toxins, and they literally, you actually get a brain clean at about your 4th hour of sleep at night. And it's important that you aren't waking up throughout that time, because if you're waking up if you like get to go to the bathroom or something like that, and you come back, it doesn't go back on. So that sleep is so important for actually cleansing your brain, which is preparing for the next day to take on all the other features of your day.
Did you say 4th hour?
I think it's like the 4th hour. So like when you get into your deep REM is when it does it. And it actually says they actually said it like almost like paralyzes you from the neck down. Like your whole body is like just like stuck, and your brain is doing all its different stuff. So sleep is like out of all the nutritionists, specialists, brain doctors, all these people are saying sleep the best that you can, and just remember those different factors. So sorry, I just had to. It's like my new thing. I'm like rest.
All right, and tomorrow is a nice cookbook, which all the food that is being served, the recipes are in here. So it's going to be fun to look at. Yeah.
Can you tell me
You
what
think-
page the dessert is on?
The one with that cheesecake today.
Yeah.
Well, tell me tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. We'll ask the cook when she's here. She'll be here tomorrow, Jennifer. Okay, well, hope to see you all tomorrow night. Thank you.